What initially seemed like out of nowhere, this guy named CJ dropped one of the biggest drill records of all time. Back in 2020, when Whoopty began mysteriously climbing the charts, many fans were surprised to hear that it was not made by Pop Smoke or even King Von, but rather a Staten Island artist named CJ. However, as we're about to see, maybe this was all actually planned and set up from the start. According to CJ's bio, he was, quote, raised on the sidelines of the music business, referring to his uncle and also manager James Cruz, who just happens to be a very established executive with connections all over the industry.
I'm gonna help the kid. I'm gonna help him. He deserves it. He's family. It was like his pops called me and I gave his pops a promise and I spoke to his moms and I said, I got this. I'm gonna get him a record deal.
But after his multi-platinum hit Whoopty, CJ hasn't been able to achieve nearly close to that same success. Is he simply another one-hit wonder? Why did CJ disappear so fast? Did his addiction to blue cheese finally consume him? Believe it or not, Whoopty was actually the first drill song that CJ ever recorded. At this time in 2020, the UK drill sound had not only taken over all of Brooklyn and New York, but thanks to the emergence of young superstar Pop Smoke, the entire world was now taking notice. However, following Pop's unfortunate murder at the age of 20 years old, the drill scene was then left to find its next leader. Enter CJ. Although CJ had been posting songs on his SoundCloud since he was 19, including a suspicious early 6ix9ine feature due to reasons we'll see in a second, it wasn't until July of 2020 when one song would change this Puerto Rican rapper's life forever. Different from his previous melodic tracks and inspired by the loss of Pop Smoke and his homies' advice, CJ decided to hop on this drill-type beat he found one day on YouTube.
Everybody was just telling me, like, yo, I can hear you on a drill song, like, let me see something, you feel me? So, recorded Whoopty, that was my first drill record that I even attempted to rap on, you know what I'm saying? And it happened to be a hit.
And a hit it was indeed, thanks to a little help from going viral on TikTok in addition to a major early cosign from Cardi B. With its catchy hook and fire beat, If You Were Outside in 2020, there was honestly no escaping this song. Whoopty contains a very popular vocal sample from the Indian song Sanam Re, which after first being heard in Mimo 600's 2019 track Exposing Me,
ain't no exposing me. I be in them trenches where niggas say he's supposed to die.
Then saw King Von hop on the song's remix,
Ain't got no holes in me. I be quick to run up, let it pop, that's just the O in me.
Then that same year was remixed again by FBG Duck and Ruga, using it as a response diss track back at their rivals.
That's the way it go. I'ma hit this cut, you hit that cut, better know which way to go.
Along with then even Pop Smoke himself, who rapped over the sample on this unreleased track.
I'm often dangerous. Ain't no parking acted like ain't no stain in us.
But yet, with currently almost 500 million views on YouTube, CJ's Whoopty has more streams than all of these other songs combined. However, as the song continued to blow up more and more every single day, along with it came more controversy. Following the massive success of Whoopty, CJ would go on to sign his first record deal with Warner Records in 2021. And while it's normal for labels to go after the artist with one of the hottest songs of the year, it is not so normal how CJ's breakout hit appeared to have even broke out in the first place. We chose Warner Records because we wanted to work with a team that felt like family, said CJ's uncle and manager James Cruz. I've been on this ride with CJ from the beginning. He is the sum of all parts of my career and industry experience. It turns out James Cruz is an award-winning record executive in the music business. As we can see here from his LinkedIn profile, Cruz served as president of the legendary record label Bad Boy Entertainment for 9 years. And while president, James Cruz was not only Diddy's exclusive manager, but then he also played a key role in building the careers of other stars such as 50 Cent, Nicki Minaj, French Montana, and Rick Ross, to name a few. It's also important to note that back in 2005, Bad Boy Records had formed a joint venture with one of the 3 major record labels. You guessed it, Warner Music Group.
So there's a history there. So now I ain't got to worry about all the bullshit that I'm seeing through. Now I know Julian's going to rock this one the right way and do everything right. And I know Chris Atlas, who's over at Warner, is going to do things the right way. So we signed to Warner.
His star power was obvious, as was his ambition to be an artist at the highest level. Warner CEO told Billboard after CJ signed, his energy was infectious and he had already surrounded himself with a top-notch management team in James Cruz.
When the record label started calling, they were like, yo, we love the record, but James, we love you. They love my work ethic, they love my vision, and they love my success.
James's involvement with his nephew's career is likely also the reason he was able to land that big feature from 6ix9ine on his early track Pop, because especially when he was so hot back in 2018, 6ix9ine was not just gonna do a feature for some random. His uncle also had to play a big part in connecting CJ to Rick Ross, who brought him out at shows, French Montana, who basically became like his mentor, Mark Wahlberg, who comments on literally every one of CJ's pictures, as well as also getting Whoopty its first radio streams and DJ spins to get it off the ground. However, along with these claims of nepotism and CJ being an industry plant, also came controversy regarding the actual meaning of Whoopty. Back in November of 2020, CJ explained the meaning of the word to Genius, although he left out one very important detail.
Pretty much it's just like a roll call, you know, whenever I see my guys in the street, and you know, that's how we greet each other. It's like a New York when people say, "You're."
CJ had failed to mention that prior to making it famous, the phrase Whoopty was a greeting used exclusively by members of the New York blood set, the Bloodhound Brims, a gang that CJ was allegedly never a part of. Despite featuring red bandanas throughout his music video, as well as even lyrics in his viral song about posting up with the hats, a term referring to the Brims, as the track grew in popularity, numerous New York street gang members started calling CJ out for being fake Whoopty.
He's not Whoopty. He don't know nothing about Whoopty. Now you jacking something that they got dudes in jail for. There's allegations behind that word right there that made it such a splash.
CJ basically didn't have no ties and just basically just jacked their whole shit.
Then following diss tracks aimed at him from fellow rappers such as 22G's and Knuckles Brim, despite CJ never telling us directly if he's affiliated or not, he would finally respond to the rumors about stealing the word.
I never stole anything, you know? Just because I said the word in a song, or I made it a song, doesn't mean I took ownership of the word. I never said I owned the word. I never said I created the word.
However, while I suppose that was true at the time of the song's release, only a few months later in October of 2020, it was revealed that CJ had filed a trademark application to literally own the phrase Whoopty, which, as you could guess, did not go over well at all.
As far as him being ham, he's not ham. Then you gonna copyright our shit? You copyright our shit? Like, yo boy, your head not good. You better uncopyright our shit, nigga.
And if word that you've been false flagging wasn't bad enough for CJ's street credit, then came the memes of him appearing to twerk in his next music video. Following his smash hit Whoopty and its multiple remixes, CJ would then drop his debut project Loyalty Over Royalty in 2021. This 8-track EP under Warner not only included a French Montana feature, but was also executive produced by French as well.
I hit up James Cruz, and James Cruz like you want in? I'm like, yeah, I want to, come in and help out.
Right.
Selling 12K first week, which isn't terrible for a debut EP, it was the song Bop though that drew the most attention, specifically due to this part in its music video.
We on top now. I'm on the strip with the top down. We on top now. I'm on the strip with the top down.
Although the edit low-key makes it look like it's CJ in the red coat and black pants twerking in front of the camera, upon further examination we can see that unfortunately for the meme's sake, CJ is right there. After only being signed to Warner Records for 9 months, CJ would then split from his label over, quote, creative differences. 2022 was another underwhelming year for him before then returning with a new single, Gangsta, back in January of this year, now independently released under CJ Music Group. I took a year off to raise my son and be a father, he posted with the song. To me, that's Gangsta. Despite, I suppose, it being respectable that he wants to be there for his kid, but you can't just go ghost for a year in today's industry and not expect to see a decrease in relevancy. Many of the biggest artists in the world also have children too. Might be the biggest mistake of your career, one of the top comments reads. That's not gangsta, that's fucking up your job. But if we are being real, while it may seem like CJ only had a minute of fame in the spotlight with Whoopty, the truth is that one song has made him enough to potentially be set for life if he's managed his money well. And while yes, it's clear that his uncle's connections and industry knowledge have given him a massive boost in his career, we still do have to credit CJ though, cause if the song was trash, it wouldn't have blown up at all like it did. And honestly, as an artist, who wouldn't take advantage if you had an uncle that connected?
If you were an artist and you had access to somebody like me, wouldn't that be a blessing? Wouldn't any artist on the face of the earth love to have that?
At currently over 5 million monthly listeners and with Whoopty on its way to 1 billion streams, CJ has now been dropping more Latin music since, as he says, I'm not a drill rapper. I'm a versatile artist who just happened to blow up off a drill song. At least until his debut album releases though, which he's been teasing for the past 3 years, it's pretty easy to label CJ as a one-hit wonder. But like other guys such as Designer or Sheck West, who I covered in my last video, being a one-hit wonder isn't totally a bad thing. I mean, at least he had a hit, right? Countless artists work their entire lives and still never come close to the numbers of Whoopty.
Rip-off, industry plant, one-hit wonder, or false claiming. It's like, y'all judging me off of a YouTube video. Y'all don't know my life. Y'all don't know what I've been through.
While it's easy to say that he just got lucky or to point to his uncle's industry connections, CJ still deserves credit for his smash hit Whoopty. However, now at the age of 26 and fully independent, it's going to be very tough for CJ to escape that shadow of his breakout hit.
Either it comes once in a lifetime or once in a career. You know, you don't really hear Whoopties every day. You know what I'm saying? It's a hard record to chase.